You have used WD-40 your entire life, and I guarantee you have been doing at least 10 of these wrong. Your grandpa knew the real tricks, and today we are going to go through all 25 of them. Number 25. Spraying it directly on squeaky door hinges without wiping off the excess. This is the mistake almost everyone makes. You blast the hinge, it stops squeaking for a week, then it's louder than ever. Grandpa always said the spray is just the first step. After you apply it, you wipe away every single drop of excess with a rag. Then you work the hinge back and forth about 20 times to let the lubricant really work into the metal. Then you wipe it again. The reason your hinge keeps coming back squeaky is because the residue left on the surface actually attracts dust and grime, and that grime works its way back into the joint and creates more friction than you started with. Number 24. Using WD-40 on bike chains as a long-term lubricant. This is probably the most common bicycle maintenance mistake on the planet. People grab the can because it says lubricant right on the label. They coat the chain, and they wonder why their chain is rusting and skipping gears 3 weeks later. Grandpa would have told you that WD-40 is a water displacer, not a dedicated chain lubricant. The WD literally stands for water displacement. Spray it on, let it soak for a couple of minutes, scrub the chain with an old brush, wipe everything off, and then follow up with a proper chain oil. Number 23. Spraying it into locks and expecting them to work smoothly forever. Locks are precision instruments with very tight tolerances between moving parts. When you spray WD-40 into a lock, it initially frees up the mechanism, and you think you have solved the problem. But here is what Grandpa knew that you do not. WD-40 eventually evaporates and leaves behind a thin, sticky residue that actually traps tiny particles of dust and debris. Over time, that residue turns into a kind of paste that makes the lock harder to turn than it was before you started. For locks, the correct lubricant is powdered graphite or a dedicated dry lock lubricant. Save WD-40 for loosening a lock that is completely seized up, and then follow immediately with the correct product before that residue has a chance to build up. Number 22. Using it to try to fix a wet phone or electronic device. When your phone takes an unexpected swim, the first instinct for a lot of people is to reach for a can of something to displace the water. And WD-40 does displace water, so the logic seems sound. But Grandpa would have sat you down and explained something important. WD-40 is a petroleum-based product, and petroleum residue inside your electronics is just as damaging as the water you are trying to remove. The oils can coat circuit components, short connections, and permanently damage your device. The correct approach for a wet electronic device is to power it off immediately, remove the battery if possible, and let it dry in a warm environment with good airflow for at least 48 hours. The rice method is also better than any spray product. Number 21. Applying it to rubber seals, gaskets, and O-rings. This is a mistake that can cost you real money in repairs. People use WD-40 on rubber components all the time because it seems like a perfectly reasonable thing to do with something squeaking or stiff. Grandpa knew better. Petroleum-based products degrade rubber over time. They cause rubber to swell, crack, and lose its elasticity, which means that seal that was just a little stiff is going to become a seal that fails completely. For rubber components, you want a silicone-based lubricant. It is compatible with rubber, safe on plastics, and does not cause the degradation that petroleum products create. Check your product label before you spray anything near a rubber component. Number 20. Spraying it on wood floors to stop them from squeaking. Grandpa would have laughed at this one, but kindly because he understood the impulse. Your floor squeaks, you have a can of lubricant. The math seems simple. The problem is that WD-40 will stain wood floors. It leaves oil marks that can be nearly impossible to fully remove. More importantly, it only silences the squeak temporarily while creating a slip hazard that could genuinely hurt someone. The real fix for a squeaky wood floor is powdered graphite or talcum powder worked down into the joint between the boards. No stain risk, no slip hazard, and it lasts significantly longer. Number 19. Dousing rusty bolts and then immediately trying to turn them. Patience is the most underused tool in any garage, and Grandpa had plenty of it. Everyone sprays a rusted bolt and immediately reaches for the wrench. Then they strip the bolt head or snap the bolt entirely. The correct technique is to spray the bolt generously, let it sit for at least 15 minutes, and ideally come back after 30. The penetrating formula needs time to wick down through the rust and corrosion by capillary action to actually reach the threads. Let the product do the work. Walk away, come back, and then turn. Number 18. Using it as a substitute for actual paint to prevent rust. WD-40 does offer short-term protection against rust and corrosion, and this leads a lot of people to think they have found a cheaper alternative to rust-proofing paint or primer. They coat metal surfaces and feel good about it. Grandpa would tell you that protection lasts maybe a few weeks, especially outdoors where it gets exposed to rain, sun, and temperature swings. For any outdoor metal that needs long-term rust protection, you need actual rust-inhibiting paint, primer, or a dedicated rust conversion product. WD-40 is great for light indoor tools or surfaces you can reapply regularly, but it is not a set-and-forget rust prevention solution. Number 17. Spraying it on garden tools and then putting them away wet. Here is a mistake that seems so logical you almost cannot blame people for making it. Yes, WD-40 protects tools from rust. But here is what Grandpa always did differently. He would spray the tool, and then he would take a clean rag and wipe the surface down until it had a thin, even coat with no pooling. Tools stored with excess product pooled on them can develop gummy deposits over time, and any dirt on the tool will mix with that product and create a paste that is harder to clean than the rust you were trying to prevent. Spray it, spread it thin, store it right. Number 16. Trying to use it to waterproof shoes or boots. People see the water beating up after a spray of WD-40 and think they have stumbled onto a brilliant life hack for their footwear. Grandpa would have told you to put that can down and back away slowly. WD-40 can temporarily repel water from the surface of leather or synthetic material, but it also breaks down adhesives, which means the soles of your shoes may start separating from the upper after a few applications. It also darkens leather permanently and can leave stains that never fully come out. For waterproofing footwear, use products specifically designed for that purpose. Either silicone spray for synthetic materials or proper leather conditioner and waterproofing wax for leather. Number 15. Spraying it on plastic parts and leaving it there. Grandpa had a rule about plastics. Test before you commit. While WD-40 is generally safe on many types of plastic, certain types of plastic, particularly polystyrene and polycarbonate, can be damaged or clouded by petroleum-based products. If you need to lubricate plastic parts, silicone spray is the correct choice. It is chemically neutral to virtually all plastic types and will not cause surface degradation. Always test a small hidden area first, before coating any plastic component with WD-40. Number 14. Using too much of it. This is Grandpa's biggest pet peeve, and he talked about it constantly. People treat WD-40 like more is always better. They soak the thing they are working on, drench it, let it run everywhere. And then they either create a mess that attracts dirt, or they over-lubricate a mechanism to the point where it actually causes friction, rather than reducing it. Grandpa's philosophy was simple. One short burst, wipe the excess, then see if you need more. Almost always, you do not need more. The straw applicator exists for a reason. Use it. Direct small amounts exactly where they need to go, and you will get better results with less product and less mess every single time. Number 13. Spraying it on brake components. If you have ever grabbed the WD-40 can in the garage and happened to spray it near your brake rotors or brake pads, understand that you have potentially created a dangerous situation. Even a small amount of lubricant on a brake rotor will significantly reduce stopping power. Brake pads contaminated with oil cannot easily be cleaned and should be replaced. Brake rotors need to be thoroughly degreased with brake cleaner. Keep your can away from any part of the braking system on any vehicle, full stop. Number 12. Using it to silence a squeaking belt in a car engine. Grandpa knew cars, and he knew this particular shortcut had serious consequences. A squealing serpentine belt or accessory belt in your engine bay is telling you something is wrong. Either the belt is worn and needs replacement, or one of the pulleys it runs on has a bearing that is failing. Spraying WD-40 on the belt silences the squeal briefly, while allowing whatever underlying problem exists to continue getting worse. If your belt is squealing, you diagnose and fix the actual problem. The belt or pulley needs to be inspected, not sprayed. Number 11. Applying it to sticky scissors or cutting tools and considering the job done. Here is one of Grandpa's most repeated lessons about tools. Scissors and cutting tools need to stay sharp, and they need the correct type of maintenance. WD-40 will clean and temporarily free up sticky scissors, and that part is fine. But as a long-term lubricant for cutting tools, it falls short. The product thins out quickly under the friction and pressure of cutting, and you are back to stiff scissors within days. For pivot points on scissors and similar tools, a drop of machine oil or sewing machine oil applied precisely to the pivot point and then worked in by opening and closing the scissors is far superior and lasts dramatically longer. Number 10. Spraying it on stuck zippers and calling it a fix. Grandpa had a specific opinion about this one because Grandma had a very specific opinion about her good jacket. WD-40 can unstick a zipper, yes. The problem is what it leaves behind on the fabric surrounding the zipper. Oil stains on fabric, especially dark oil stains on light-colored or delicate fabric, are among the most stubborn laundry challenges you will ever face. For stuck zippers, a clear wax like a candle or a pencil graphite line run along the zipper teeth is completely effective and leaves zero residue on the fabric. Number 9. Using it on squeaky springs inside a mattress. Getting WD-40 into a mattress spring system is essentially impossible without saturating the surrounding fabric and foam. The petroleum in the product will degrade foam over time and create a staining mess that you will sleep on every night. A squeaky mattress spring that genuinely bothers you means it is time to flip the mattress, tighten the bed frame, or replace the mattress. There is no spray fix for this one. Number 8. Spraying it on wood screws before driving them into wood. The thinking here is that lubrication should make the screw go in easier, and physically that is true. But Grandpa knew what happened 6 months later. Petroleum products on wood screws can cause the wood fibers around the screw to soften and break down over time. If you want a screw to drive easier into wood, run the threads across a bar of soap or a beeswax block. Number 7. Thinking it removes all stains from all surfaces. WD-40 is genuinely remarkable at removing certain specific stains. It removes adhesive residue, crayon marks on walls, certain tar and grease deposits, and even some stubborn label residue. But Grandpa always drew a clear distinction between what it works on and what it makes worse. On fabric, WD-40 can leave a grease stain that is harder to remove than the original stain. On certain painted surfaces, it can lift the paint. Know what surface you are working on and test it before you treat a large area. Number 6. Using it to remove gum from hair. This actually works, and Grandpa knew it worked. The problem is that most people who try it apply way too much product and then have a greasy, gummy hair situation. The correct method is to apply a tiny amount directly to the gum only. Let it sit for 30 seconds and then carefully work the gum out of the hair with a fine comb starting from the outer edges and working inward. Once the gum is out, wash the hair thoroughly with dish soap before regular shampoo to fully cut through the petroleum residue. Use as little product as possible and work carefully. Number 5. Spraying it to fix a squeaking dryer. This is a trap because it seems like it should work, and it sometimes seems to work for a few days. The drum bearings or felt seals in a dryer need heat-resistant lubrication, not a general-purpose penetrant. More concerning, the product can produce fumes or smoke when heated in an enclosed space, which is a potential fire and inhalation hazard. If your dryer is making noise, that is a job for the right product or a service technician, not a general-purpose spray. Number 4. Applying it to a squeaky fan in your computer or gaming setup. Grandpa would have had very strong feelings about this one if he had lived in the era of gaming computers. PC fans are small, precise, and they run on very specific bearing tolerances. WD-40 is too thin to stay in the bearing long enough to make a meaningful difference. Beyond that, Any overspray on electronics components nearby can cause conductivity issues and damage. Computer fans need a tiny drop of sewing machine oil or electronic-grade lubricant applied directly to the bearing after removing the sticker on the back of the fan hub. That is it. That is the whole job. Number 3. Using it as a fire starter or near open flames. WD-40 is petroleum-based and it is flammable. People use it near engine components, then fire up the engine. Or they spray it in areas near pilot lights, water heaters, or other open flames. Grandpa's #1 garage rule was that you never spray anything from an aerosol can near an ignition source, and you always check what is nearby before you press that nozzle. Never near flames, never near pilot lights, never near sparks. Number 2. Spraying it on a rusted tool and considering the job done. Grandpa had a whole process for this, and he would walk you through every step. WD-40 is a penetrant and a rust loosener. It is not a rust remover on its own. The WD-40 weakens the bond between the rust and the metal and makes your mechanical effort dramatically more effective. Spray, wait, scrub. Then after the rust is removed, wipe the tool clean. Apply a light coat of machine oil or a dedicated tool storage wax and store properly so you do not end up repeating the process in another year. Number 1. Thinking WD-40 is a catch-all solution for every single problem, Grandpa kept 2 other cans next to his WD-40 in the workshop: white lithium grease and silicone spray. He had each one for a specific reason. WD-40 is extraordinary at what it actually is: a water displacer, a penetrant for loosening stuck or corroded fasteners, a cleaner for removing certain types of residue, and a short-term light lubricant for metal-on-metal applications. White lithium grease is for heavy-duty applications like garage door tracks, gears, and metal sliding mechanisms that carry real load. Silicone spray is for rubber, plastic, and anything in a wet environment. Knowing which tool belongs in which situation is what separated Grandpa from everyone else on the block. Here is the short version of what Grandpa would tell you to take away from all this. Always use the red straw. It is not decorative. It focuses the spray exactly where you want it and cuts your product use in half while giving you better results. A thin, even coat beats a heavy drench every single time. Rubber, fabric, painted surfaces, and electronics all deserve a second of thought before you commit. And finally, stock all 3 cans: WD-40, white lithium grease, and silicone spray. With those 3 products and the knowledge Grandpa just gave you, you can handle nearly any lubrication, penetration, or protection job that comes up in your home or garage without making a single one of these 25 mistakes ever again.